This is Andy Leon with Marlinspike Consulting. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate conditional formatting in Microsoft Excel. Conditional formatting is a way to have the format of a cell change depending on the data that is stored in that cell. One reason you might want to do this is if you had a large amount of data stored in a worksheet and you wanted certain values to be highlighted in red, for example, so they jump off the page and are more easily visible to the user. You might have a list of products with their product sales, and you want to highlight those products that are the biggest sellers so that you can see them more easily. In this example, I'm going to use a list of the states of the Union and the population of those states. I have 3 columns worth of population, and we're going to be applying some conditional formatting to those columns. So I'm going to first highlight the cells that I would like to apply the conditional formatting to. Most of the time when we apply formatting of any sort in Excel, we need to first select the cells that we would like to have that formatting apply to. So I will click on the first cell in the column D and then shift click on the bottom cell, and that will highlight all the contiguous cells between those. And then I'll click the conditional formatting button, and here's where my conditional formatting options are. So conditional formatting consists of the condition that must be met by the value that's in that cell, and also the format then that you would like to have that cell take on if the condition is met. So in this first example, I'll choose highlight cell rules. I'll do a greater than, and maybe I would like to have all of the cells that are greater than 10 million in value be highlighted in red. So you see that Excel plugs in a suggested value here for me, this 17 million. I'm going to change this. And when I change it to 10 million, then it gives me a preview showing that all of the cell values above 10 million are highlighted in red. Excel also provides a list of built-in formats, about a half a dozen of these that I can choose from, or I could also choose custom format and pick whatever color I want to there. I'll stick with the first of these formats here that are built in, the light red fill with the dark red text, and then click OK. And again, you see that the cells that are all above 10 million in value are highlighted in red. Let me do a second one here where I do a less than, and for this example, maybe I want less than 1 million in population to be highlighted in green. So those cells are down at the bottom of the page, and you see that those cells then are highlighted in green, the ones that have a population of less than 1 million. And one important part about this conditional formatting is should the values in the cell change so that a condition that was not met in the past is now met, then the formatting of that cell could change as well. So for example, I'll pick one of the states here that is previously not been highlighted. If I change that to a low number, then it takes on the formatting of the green for the less than 1 million. Or if I change that to a high number, then I get the formatting of red for the values that are greater than 10 million. Okay, so that's an example of conditional formatting, and that can work even if you have the values that are in the cells change on a regular basis because you're importing or keying in different numbers to those cells. All right, let me show a second example here in column C. I'm going to again highlight the cells that are in that column by selecting them, and then I'll go to conditional formatting. Instead of my highlight cell rules, which I chose here, which are built-in rules, I can also choose my top-bottom rules. So I can choose the top 10 items or top 10%, bottom 10 or 10%, or just above or below average. Note that this 10, that's an arbitrary number. I can choose whatever number I want to there. So maybe I would like to see the top 7 items here in this list be highlighted in yellow. So I can change my default value here of 10 to 7, and I can change my built-in format here to one of the one that's yellow. I can click OK, and you see I have the yellow formatting there at the top. And as before, if one of my other values changes so that now it becomes one of the top values, then the formatting there will change to yellow, and whatever one was the previous 7th most populous state now has lost its formatting because it's only the top 7 of those that I picked. Okay, so those are a couple of examples of conditional formatting where I do formats that change the color of the cell or the text. Let's look at one more category of conditional formatting where I'm changing something that's graphics related. And for that one, I will use column B here. I can choose data bars or color scales as ways of highlighting the cell here as well. So with my data bars, I have either gradient or solid fill for these. They work exactly the same way as each other. It's just a matter of what the bar looks like that goes across the cell. In the case of gradient, it's not all the same shade of whatever color it is. It gets lighter as it goes further to the right. With solid, it is the same shade of whatever color it is you select. And what happens here with this one is that the topmost cell, the one that has the highest value, which in this case is the state of California, which has over 38 million in population, that one has a bar that goes all the way across the cell. And then the other cells that are less than that value have a cell bar that goes proportionally according to their population. So Florida and New York, for example, have about half the population of California, so their bar goes about halfway across the cell. Okay, so those are ways of applying graphic type of a format using data bars. Color scales are similar to that. With the color scales, it changes the formatting of the color based on the value that's in the cell. So the color scales may have a darker shade at the top and a lighter shade at the bottom, or it could be the reverse of that, depending on what the value is that's in the cell. And in this case, since I've already applied the data bar going across there, I have a data bar on top of a color scale here as well. Okay, so that's certainly possible to do. The last type of graphical formatting that we'll look at here with conditional formats are the icon sets. With the icon sets, you can choose these icons that might be colored or they might just be black and white, depending on what you prefer. And those icon sets change the icon or change the color of the icon depending on what the value is that you're going to store there in that cell. So I'll choose one here for my stoplight shapes, just a circle that is either green, yellow, or red. And you see that since the icon displays to the left of the number that's in that cell, in the case of my largest numbers up here, it actually I need to widen the column a bit to be able to display that whole cell, the whole value in the cell. And so what Excel has done is it has assigned some thresholds here for what's a green value, what's a red, and then what's a yellow. But I can configure those thresholds if I want to. So if I go to conditional formatting, and where I chose the icon sets before, I'll go down below that and choose manage rules. As it turns out, I've got 3 rules that I have set on this selected range of cells here: the icon, the graded color scale, and the data bar. I could get rid of them here by deleting them, or I could edit them, which is what I'm going to do with the icon set. So I'll click edit, and you see that it's given me some default thresholds for the icon set. Just split the values into thirds based on the percentage of the values. But if I want to change those to actual numbers, I can do that. So maybe for this example, I want to say greater than 10 million is going to be green, and maybe greater than 1 million is going to be yellow, and less than 1 million is red. So if I click OK and then OK again, we'll change the formatting here. So from 10 million and above is green, between 10 million and 1 million is yellow, and then below the 1 million mark is red. So those icon sets become a lot more useful if you can change whatever the threshold is for the different colors on those icons. So that's conditional formatting. Again, that uses formats in Excel. So as with most other formats, you first want to select the cell range and then apply the conditional formatting to it. And with conditional formats, we have 2 different components to it. First is what is the condition that the data must meet in that cell in order for the format to be applied. And then second, if that condition is met, what is the formatting that we would apply? So what color or what icon or what fill or whatever.